You know, if you've walked onto a new car lot lately, you've probably felt it. That sticker shock. It's intense. So today, we're going to dig into why that affordable, brand new car feels like it's gone extinct.
Yeah, it really all boils down to one simple but super frustrating question. Why are new cars so darn expensive? This is a problem hitting millions of us right in the wallet. And believe me, the answer goes way beyond just inflation.
Okay, so let's get right into the hard evidence. For the first time ever, the average price someone actually pays for a new vehicle in the US has shot past $50,000. I mean, just let that sink in. That is a jaw-dropping 30% higher than it was right before the pandemic. A huge, huge jump in just a few years.
And to cover that insane cost, people are taking on more debt than ever before. The average monthly payment for a new car, it's now sitting at an all-time high of around $800. I mean, think about that for a second. For a lot of families, that is basically a second mortgage payment.
And it gets even crazier. Get this. About 1 out of every 5 new car loans today comes with a monthly payment of $1,000 or more. That is a massive chunk of the market signing up for 4-figure payments, month after month after month. All right, so these numbers, they're really just a symptom of a much bigger trend. To really get what's going on, our first clue is to look at where an entire category of car has gone, the truly affordable entry-level option. I mean, think about it. The very last new car you could buy for under 20 grand, the Nissan Versa, well, its production ended late last year. And it wasn't a loan. It followed other budget-friendly rides like the Kia Rio and the Chevy Spark right out the door. Boof. The entry point to the new car market, it's just gone.
So, why did they disappear? Well, this right here tells you a big part of the story. A decade ago, the market was a pretty even 50-50 split between cars and, light trucks and SUVs. But look at it today. It is completely flipped on its head. A whopping 80% of sales are now trucks and SUVs. And guess what? Those are almost always way more expensive than a simple sedan.
And what this shift means is a totally new reality for anyone shopping for a car. Honestly, experts are now saying that under $30,000, that's the new baseline for what we can even call an affordable car. The goalposts, they've been completely moved.
So this huge market shift, it didn't just happen by accident. Nope, it was driven by some really powerful economic forces. So now, we got to follow the money to really understand the motives behind these crazy high prices. Okay, so the first big motive comes from this thing called the K-shaped economy. It's a fancy term, but the idea is simple. It's where the richest folks see their fortunes go up, that's the top part of the K, while everyone else kind of stagnates or even goes down. And that growing divide has a massive impact on what kind of cars actually get built. And this right here shows you that K-shaped effect in the real world. Just look at these numbers. The slice of new cars being bought by households earning over 150 grand a year, it's jumped from just 18% back in 2020 to 29% today. I mean, if you're an automaker, that's a blinking neon sign telling you your most profitable customers are at the top, and they can afford the expensive stuff.
So what did the car companies do? They jumped all over that trend with a strategy called premiumization, which is just a fancy word for deliberately making cars more expensive. They started focusing on the high-profit SUVs and luxury models. They bundled a ton of features into fewer, pricier trims. They made it really hard to even find a basic, low-cost base model. All of it was designed to push you, the buyer, toward the more expensive options. It was all about squeezing maximum profit out of the people who could afford to pay. But that whole strategy, it's had some very real and pretty tough consequences for the rest of us. So let's take a look at the squeeze this new high-price reality is putting on the average buyer, the person who isn't in that top-tier income bracket.
And one of the clearest signs of this squeeze is just who is buying these cars. A generation ago, the average new car buyer was 43 years old. Fast forward to today, and the average age is now 51. What that tells us is that younger buyers are getting priced right out of the new car market. Period. And to cope with these prices, the people who do manage to buy are stretching their finances thinner than we've ever seen. The number of people taking out 7-year loans, that's an 84-month loan, has almost doubled since just 2019. It's a glaring sign of financial strain, right? Spreading that cost out over such a long time just to make the monthly payment manageable.
And all this financial stretching is leading to, well, exactly what you'd expect. Trouble. The rate of people who are severely behind on their car payments, we're talking more than 90 days past due, has shot up to levels we haven't seen since the 2008 financial crisis. The whole system is definitely showing some serious signs of stress.
Okay, so where does all this leave us? Where do we go from here?
Is the auto industry pushing things right to the breaking point, or are we about to see a big swing back toward value and affordability?
And this quote from an analyst at J.D. Power, man, it just nails the whole issue. He asks, is there a breaking point where you just push prices past what the average consumer can afford? That's the billion-dollar question, right? Automakers have pushed and pushed prices to historic highs, and now they have to be wondering, have we finally gone too far?
But there are some early signs that things might be starting to shift. We're seeing buyers begin to push back a little, choosing the more basic models instead of the super expensive, loaded-up trims. And in response, some car makers are starting to bring back value. I mean, Chevy is having massive success with its affordable Trax crossover, and Ford is seeing the same thing with its Maverick pickup.
So all of this leaves us with a really fascinating question to chew on. After a whole decade of automakers basically training us to spend more and more on premium trims and all these extra features, are we now on the verge of a totally new era? Maybe the base spec decade, where simple value becomes the most important feature of all.